Shalom. Okay, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Rakakadash. Okay, double honors to our apostles of Great Millstone, elders of GMS. Okay, and salutations, peace, and blessings to the fellow laborers of the hopeful elect of the children of Israel. The Hakim that's filling up the gaps on the highways and the byways, pushing this truth into the land, and you ark with as well, who's humbling yourself to learn these words and to escape the pollutions of this world. Okay. And here we go, more and more madness. More and more madness here. Just like this is some of those miseries that's beginning to come upon this earth. Okay. Scientists warn lone frozen zombie virus is public health threat amid thaw. They went and intentionally dug this thing up. So Esau is hell bent on bringing miseries onto the world. And actually, it's the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that's he's instilling his will in the minds of these devils to make these moves. That's actually in the scriptures, misery. Let me see. What's misery? Might be a good movie to watch there. Oh, come on, look at this. That thing got a mind of its own. Okay, here we go. Here we go. A state of feeling of great distress or discomfort of mind and body. Okay. Distress. It's also another word that's in the scriptures. Okay, extreme anxiety, sorrow, or pain. Okay. Many great miseries. The scripture says many great miseries. Many great miseries. Come on. Okay. So this is actually it's in the news. This is Science Times. I'm not gonna read Science Times though. The New York Post is popular. It seems to have a bigger following. How do they say it is more the New York Post is more acceptable. You know, it says they're potentially prying open Pandora's box. French scientists have sparked fear of yet another pandemic after reviving a zombie virus that had been trapped under a frozen lake in Russia for a record 50,000 years. There they go with this 50,000 years and that madness. But anyway, the Pandora's box today, that's that Greek mythology where a disobedient wife, I'm not sure she's disobedient, but regardless how it got started, she opened a container that was full of curses, something of that extent. I can look it up, but regardless, Pandora's box, and they just don't want to give credit to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. They don't want to give credit to these prophecies that are taking place in these last days. But let's stay on the topic here: zombies reviving these things, these more, like I said, these miseries You can. This is another one of those that is mentioned in the Bible. Um, Pestilences that's going to come upon the world. All right. The the situation would be much more disastrous in the case of plant, animal, or human diseases caused by the revival of an ancient unknown virus, reads the viral study, which has yet to be uh, peer reviewed. The new research was helmed by microbiologist Jean Marie Olympic from the French National Center for Scientific Research Science Alert Report. According to the preliminary papers, global warming is causing vast swaths of the permafrost, permanently frozen ground covering 1/4 of the northern hemisphere, to irreversibly thaw. This has had the alarming effect of releasing organic matter frozen for up to a million, that million years madness again. But anyway, they know these things because of the records that we're keeping. So they went and intentionally dig these things up. There's records of previous um, epidemics, pandemics that's happened all around the world that they keep record of. So they go and look for these things. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to blame all these things on, like I said, global warming, where there's no goddamn global warming. you know, it says to irreversibly thaw. This has had the alarming effect of releasing organic matter frozen for up to a million years, including potentially harmful pathogens. Part of this organic matter also consists of revived cellular microbes, prokaryotes, unicellular eukaryotes, as well as viruses that remain dormant since prehistoric times, the researchers write. These people are crazy, man. Um, Scriptures here. Hold on. Ax Marcelli, Universal Professor Jean Michael Clavier, co-author of the study, issued a warning to medical authorities about the lack of significant updates on live viruses in permafrost since original studied in 2014 and 15. The Sun reported. This wrongly suggested that such occurrences are rare and that zombie viruses are not a public health threat. The research team wrote in their findings. He's saying it's not a public threat. Let's see what this one says here. Hold up. Let's go back. You can see it's been covered a lot here. The BBC. 330,000-year-old giant virus comes back to life. Okay, here's another one. Scientists awaken 50,000-year-old zombie virus in Siberia permafrost. Details here. Let's see what this says here. That's old. This one's old. This one's March 4, 2014. This one's 22 hours ago. This one's 22 hours ago. Somebody's covering on YouTube. 33 minutes ago. Okay. 22 hours, 24 hours ago, 1 day ago. Okay, and what's this one's International Business Times. See, it's been covered by reputable news stations. Zombie virus revived after being frozen for 48,500 years, cause health concerns. They just put their own dates on things. Cause health concerns, okay? Remember the previous said there's no threat. Okay, here we go. Second Ezra is the 8th chapter. Um, Let me find what I want. Let me find what I want. Here we go. 8 and 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time, which we're in that time now, the latter, shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared. Plenteous is made ready, a city is built, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled from into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. And so these things like this is part of their reward, okay? So it says here, moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die by the multitude of ways that the Lord has promised to bring upon them, upon the wicked that chose not to listen to his word, chose not to follow his ways. And that's the, the children of men, the heathens are included in that, It says, and that knowing they must die, for as the things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them, for it was not his will that men should come to naught, but they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. And therefore is my judgment now at hand. Judgment. His judgment is now at hand. And these things, and like the scripture says, I think that's in the next chapter. I think it's 2 Ezra 9, where it said, where he's beginning to visit the world which he made. Then shalt thou understand, Slaki, verse 1, 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And this is part of measuring the times diligently in itself, watching these things that are mentioned in the scriptures come to pass. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand. Because again, they just think that the Lord's coming and it's going to be a beautiful family reunion. Yeah, they got another thing coming. They think it's going to be another family reunion when all these niggas can get together and barbecue their abominable foods and pray and call on abominable names. No, 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 no. There's nothing of that. It's a day of misery, a day of pain, a day of darkness. It says, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. All right. So it says here, and therefore is my judgment now at hand. These things have I not shown unto all men, but unto thee and a few like thee. And then answered I and said, and that's why you don't see, that's why you don't hear when you go to these things, these articles, or listen to these so-called learned men of the world, uh, the nightmare that is to come, because the Lord hasn't opened their eyes to, you know, to utter these great things. They talking about open Pandora's box. Pandora's box. I mean, hold on, give me a second. Let me read this. Microbiologist Jean Marie Olympic, who leads the research, said further studies need to be done to assess if the emerging zombie virus pose a significant threat to public health. Her team warned that in the wake of the coronavirus disease of 2019, I didn't mean to say that. It caught me off guard. Caught me off guard. Well, anyway, I'm not giving medical advice. Novel diseases caused by reanimating ancient viruses would be disastrous. Would be disastrous. Here, let's do this. Zombie virus. I can't specifically say when I was trying to find out why they call it zombie, but as far as we know, cannibalism is in the scriptures. Who knows what these viruses, these things how it's going to affect the minds of the people, which we know that it's already in play, how a lot of these things that's going to have the people flip out. These people are going to transform in a moment, and I always which always come to my mind is the movie John Carpenter's The Thing. You know how they done those that are foolish enough were to have that shit shot up in them, and now how are you seeing people that are drop dead? They're what's being abstracted out of their bodies is what do they call them? Blood clots, as long as 5 feet long, and they're extracting these things, growths out of people, man, that's monstrous, man. That it always comes to mind, that movie. It says that Zechariah 11, I then said, I will not feed you that dieth, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. So who knows what they mean by this zombie virus. Well, let me do it this way then. Zombie virus. Asking the question, what is a zombie virus? Definition and meaning. A zombie is a virus, computer or smartphone that has been affected. Here we go with that. What is a zombie? What's this zombie virus everyone's talking about? 8 hours ago. That's actually a good comedy there. Overnight reports began emerging of what can only be described as a zombie virus. It sounds grim, but there's actually a scientific explanation behind it. So what is zombie virus, and should you be worried? What is a zombie virus? Zombie virus is the term given to viruses that was previously trapped, frozen in time, if you will, in ice. It's so-called zombie virus because it was once living by standard scientific definitions. Then it was frozen, and now, once the preserving ice is melted, it's back alive. So it just don't necessarily mean that it's going to affect people in a cannibalistic manner, meaning that like a zombie was once alive and it died and then it come back to life. That's what they're saying. Okay. But nevertheless, it's a goddamn virus that these devils are digging up. And why? Why? And governments around the world, man, what they do, they finance these things, the research and study of these, and they spend large sums of money to patent them, so they can claim, this one's mine. For what? For what? These people are foul, man. These people are foul, man. It makes absolutely no goddamn sense. A zombie virus. And how they know from the records. On what happened to the population in their symptoms. They keep record of a lot of these things, man. They know what's going on. I mean, how else would they know that there's a virus there in the first place? So they just stumbled on a random spot and they see a virus. No, it don't. That's silly, man. It don't even make no goddamn sense. They play with the people's intelligence, man. But then again, most of the people are just stupid anyway. Just stupid. Just literally stupid. Second 15:4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Plagues. I will bring plagues. I mean, plagues. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Their hopeful works. Let me go back to that. TRT World. Giant virus found under melting permafrost. More may come. Remember when they dug up the Black Plague? Here we go. The Black Plague, also known as the pestilence, the great mortality, or the plague, was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Western Eurasia and North Africa from 1346 to 1353, the beginning of our downfall. Okay, in the beginning of this devil coming up out of that 1,000 years of captivity. It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history. Recorded. See, that was my point right there. It is the most fatal pandemic written. And it's the same with all these previous pandemics in ancient history. They have the records of them. Record human history causing the deaths of 70. And you know this plague here. They went and dug it up, causing the deaths of 75 to 200 million people, peaking in Europe, peaking from 47 to 51, 1347 to 1351, peaking during that period. So meaning it started prior. Say they know about these things. This devil ain't slick, you know. What the scripture says, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. You see how a lot of them, a couple of these do not, like Proverbs 14:2, and do they not err that devise evil? But mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. This devil is he's error. He's in error in all his ways. He's an error. Period. Proverbs 3:29, devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Um, Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is the power of their hand. They fund. They spend millions of dollars to send out teams to go investigate these things and dig them up. And That's the scripture, 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. That's the scripture I was looking for. So here we go. Another one's coming down the pipe. Shalom.